Greetings, welcome back to Black Bear News, where we are discussing the most frightening news possible on this All Hallows Eve. If it looks like it's hot here, it is. One more time, a day in the sun. A day with just bright sunshine is creating quite warm conditions in Southern California. And my outdoor thermometer, even though the weather app says that it's 78 degrees or something like that, it's actually definitely into the 80s, probably mid 80s. My outdoor thermometer says 105 in the direct sunlight. So if you're standing in the sun, that's what it feels like. Let's get into some news. So somebody asked about this in the comments yesterday. Excuse me. And it is true. China reverses 25-year ban on using rhinoceros horns and tiger bones in medicine. I just had a really strange thing happen where my phone rang and it went to my computer and it froze my screen. So I was talking for a little while before realizing that my screen was frozen. That was a complete waste of time. The law, which has been in place for 25 years, has now been altered so that the items can be obtained from farmed animals for use in medical research or in healing. The products are used in traditional Chinese medicine despite a lack of evidence for their effectiveness in treating illness. Under the special circumstances, regulation on the sales and use of these products will be strengthened, and any related actions will be authorized, and the trade volume will be strictly controlled, the statement from the Chinese cabinet said. No reason was given for the lifting of the ban, which was implemented in 1993 amid a global push to protect fast disappearing endangered species. Environmentalists describe the move as a significant setback for protecting the endangered animals. The World Wildlife Fund said the move to overturn the ban would have devastating consequences globally by allowing poachers and smugglers to hide behind legalized trade. You don't say. I mean, they've already been poaching these animals to death, and there's a ban in place. So maybe they're just like, screw it. Let's just let this happen because we're toast. I think the governments of the world are very clear on what's going on and how bad the situation is, and they're probably like, if we can make a few bucks at the very end, let's do it. I mean, it seems like that's the messaging that's going on all over the place. With wild tiger and rhino populations at such low levels and facing numerous threats, legalized trade in their parts is simply too great a gamble for China to take, Margaret Kinnaird, WWF wildlife practice leader, said. The decision seemed to contradict the leadership China has shown recently in tackling the illegal wildlife trade, she added. Despite the previous ban, China has long allowed tiger farms to harvest the bones of dead animals. That is super creepy. Beijing has also tacitly allowed the sale of bones for alleged medicinal purposes, according to a study by Environmental Investigation Agency. All right. Not great news. More news out of China. This is truly weird. And I didn't know that this was already going on, or this was already being contemplated and worked on, but here we go. China to launch its own moon in the sky to save energy and light up streets. China's artificial moon will replace conventional street lamps and help save energy and a pretty penny in electricity expenses. China is planning to put a moon of its own in the night sky. I mean, if daylight savings won't help you, just make your own moon, you know? That's what the pros do. And the motive reaches beyond just a nod to the poetic beauty of the real celestial body. The artificial moon will replace conventional street lamps and help save a pretty penny in electricity expenses, the Chinese state media reported. I'm sure that they said pretty penny. According to a report by China Daily, Chengdu City in southwestern Sichuan province of China is developing illumination satellites, which will shine along with the real moon, but will be 8 times brighter. These satellites will have a reflective coating which can reflect the sunlight towards the Earth, similar to the moon. Placed only 500 kilometers above the Earth, the light reflected from the man-made moons will be more luminous than the actual moon. The first artificial moon from China is scheduled to be placed into orbit by 2020 and will be launched from Zhejiang Satellite Launch Center in Sichuan on a test mission. 3 more such satellites will be launched in 2022 if the first attempt turns out to be a success. Wu Shengfeng of Tianfu New Area Science Society told China Daily. The scientific outfit is responsible for this project. The first moon will be mostly experimental, but the 3 moons in 2022 will be the real deal with great civic and commercial potential, Wu told China Daily. The location and brightness of the light from the artificial moons can be changed as required, with coverage accuracy in the range of a few dozen meters. They can be used to replace some streetlights and save energy. This would also help Chengdu save around $174 million annually in electricity costs if any area spanning 50 square kilometers was illuminated using the illumination satellites, according to Wu's estimates. The light from the man-made moons could be used to light up disaster-struck areas facing blackouts, aiding rescue and relief operations, Wu added. The luminosity of the mirrors could be adjusted or they can be turned off completely as required. In the initial phases, the tests on light from the artificial satellites will be conducted on open deserts so as not to interfere with people's daily dealings or other Earth-based space observation equipment. This is not the first time harnessing energy from space has been attempted, and several countries have made attempts in this direction. Space mirrors have also been in discussion for some time now. Russia tried to launch a 25-meter space mirror to redirect sunlight to its cities in 1999, but it misfired at launch. The project was reportedly closed down due to budget issues. Weird. And who knows what the consequences are going to be of this, right? Unintended. Or could the consequences be actually preferable? Could it block some sunlight? Could it, I don't know. Probably not, but what happens if you lose control of one of these things? What happens if, we have industrial civilization collapse and we have these moons floating around? What does that do for anybody and anything? I wonder. Moving on to I had another article, but where did it go? This is from Australia. Early season records sent to tumble as hot air mass looms from the north. This is by Kate Doyle and Simon Galetta, and this is from yesterday. Parts of Victoria, South Australia, and New South Wales are set to swelter through record-breaking temperatures this week, according to the Bureau of Meteorology. The temperature in Melbourne could hit 34 degrees Celsius on Thursday, 11 C over the average November maximum. Adelaide, meanwhile, is set to reach 36 C, which is 12 C over the average. Only 12 C, you say. On Friday, Sydney-siders could be facing a 37 C day, which is 13 C above the average. Jenny Sturrock, senior forecaster with the Bureau of Meteorology, says these temperatures will set early season records tumbling. The series of early season records have already been broken in Queensland and the Northern Territory, and more are set to go. In New South Wales on Thursday, early season records have been forecast to be broken in Cooma Airport, 31C, Gundagai, 37C, Wagga Wagga, 37C, Young, 36C, Narendera Airport, 39C, Forbes Airport, 38C, Orange Airport, 29C, as well as Canberra Airport, 33C. Overnight on Thursday, early season nighttime records are forecast to be topped in the lower western Riverina, southwest slopes and plains, and the central west slopes and plains districts. On Friday, more records are expected to be broken, with 32C forecast for Moss Vale, 37C at Sydney Airport, 37C for Parramatta North, and 38C for Penrith. Early season records could also fall in the Sydney Basin, the Central Coast, the Hunter Valley, and the mid-north coast. In Victoria, the Northwest will face the highest temperatures with 41 C forecast in Mildura and 40 C in Oyen. Meanwhile, Birchip, Warracknable, I don't know, and Echuca are all expected to reach 39 C. With heat slowly easing in the states south and east, you could call it an unofficial start to summer. Is it a heat wave? For an event to qualify as a heat wave, it needs at least 3 days of maximum and minimum temperatures that are unusually high for that location in that time of year. Ms. Sturrock said through Queensland, temperatures in the low 40s were recorded over a number of days last week. All right, that's all I'm going to read of this. I'm going to link this below. And I'm also going to show, this is from the weather app. This is from Washington, D.C. Have some family there and friends there. So in places where I'm, wonder what the weather is like, where people I care about live, I have it on my app. So anyways, in DC, the temperatures are ranging in the next week anywhere from 70 to 65 high. But what's crazy about, I'm going to show this on the screen. What's crazy about this is the low temperatures, how high the low temperatures are. Only getting as low as 42 and 46 degrees, but mainly staying around 59, 65, 54, 55, and 61. So the lows are not that low. And as people often say, and scientists often say, it's the low temperatures that really start to affect the environment as much as the high temperatures. And I think that's probably also very true for what's going on around here with the trees and whatnot. We are having just steadily higher temperatures, but the low temperatures are, I think, what's really taking its toll. It's just not getting that cold. One moment. Okay, this is the last article I'm going to read for today because, well, trick-or-treating is in effect tonight, and so we're heading out to get candy, I'd say it's a fine thing to do in the Anthropocene. Get you a big bag of candy and sit down and eat it. This is from Reuters, titled "The Planet's Hidden Climate Change." The seas cover 71% of the Earth and are home to the vast majority of living things on the planet. Water temperatures are rising. Those rising temperatures are creating an epic underwater refugee crisis among marine life. North Carolina, so this is a lot of graphics. I don't know what's going on here. I thought this was a whole article, but maybe not. Fish and other sea life are fleeing for their lives, seeking the even temperatures they need to breed and thrive. For decades, the United States has been tracking about 70 marine species. Black sea bass in the U.S. North Atlantic, for example, have moved about 91 miles north. Here, the data show how the center of the population has shifted each year from 1968 to 2017. Black sea bass are not alone. The trawl survey tracks where species are found every spring. 71% were north of their average location over the past 50 years. 79% were deeper. All told, 90% were north or deeper or both. Let's see. Reuters reveals the climate crisis beneath the waves, driven by warming waters. Marine life is on the move, and life on land is forever changed. Titled Ocean Shock. All right. So this is an interesting this is like an interactive little web page full of graphs and things to read. Easy to digest. Get the idea of what's going on. And of course, marine life is under threat on a massive scale. One more second. All right, I'm going to read one more article before I get out of here. This is from phys.org. World Food Day, fish gone, people gone. October 17th, 2018. On World Food Day, WWF warns against the dramatic impact of overfished oceans on people around the globe. Currently, 33% of fish stocks are overfished. In the Mediterranean, it is 85%, with a further 60% at maximum capacity with no possibility to increase catches without overfishing the stock at the same time. More than 3 billion people rely on fish as an essential source of protein. Heavily overfished oceans put global food security at risk, as well as all the livelihoods of 800 million people depending on fish for food and income. Most of them live in developing countries, says Marco Constantini, Regional Manager Fisheries at WWF Mediterranean Marine Initiative. Europe is the biggest fish and seafood market in the world. Currently, 60% of fish and seafood is imported, with more than half of this coming from developing countries. Europe can be a major driver for change in the global seafood industry, Constantini continues. A sustainable choice of seafood makes a real difference for millions of people dependent on fish. WWF, as a global player, calls on consumers, retailers, and policymakers in the EU and its member states to take a leading role in ensuring sustainable fisheries worldwide and to guarantee that no one is left behind in fisheries and aquaculture. As global hunger is on the rise, fish is of unique importance as a high-quality protein source of nutritious food for many developing countries. The growing trend of overfishing global fish stocks urgently needs to be stopped. The trend is especially worrying as climate change is expected to alter the productivity of fisheries, leading to less fish in the global south. In times of climate change, a growing middle class and world population, as well as rising seafood demand, a shift towards sustainable production and consumption is absolutely necessary. Only then will fish remain as a valuable source of food and income in the future, says Constantini. Indeed, fish are in trouble. We need to have some kind of quotas or caps, not on just fish caught, but maybe fish sold. Maybe stop granting licenses to restaurants and chains, food chains that are like fish, fish, fish all day, you know. Maybe limit the amount of fish sold in those establishments, you know, to be diverted to fish bought in supermarkets where people can buy it for a fair price and, you know, cook it up at home or whatever. Just random thoughts. Obviously, the first thing that needs to happen is, you know, overfishing needs to stop. But unless we address the demand side of it, we cannot address the supply side of it. So who's talking about this? Who's doing anything about it? I don't know. In a capitalist system, you really can't have much of a say in how you're treating the climate because it's money, money first, consequences second or last. So we need to strike that, reverse that, as Willy Wonka might say. That's all I have for you tonight. Thank you so much for your eyes, your ears, and your conscience. I'm going to go out and get me some candy. Hope you guys get some candy too. Until next time, peace.